Grove 34 presents Roast of Dan Wickes.
All right, keep that energy going for the birthday boy, Dan Wickes! Boo! Bitch, 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 bitch. Bitch, 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 bitch. Bitch, bitch. Yeah, this guy's like gay, right? Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of wisecracks like that tonight, let me tell you. All right, everyone, I'm so excited to hear what you all have to say about our very good friend, Dan Wickes, all right? For one, I don't have too much to say. I just have to show you all a picture. Not that kind of picture. But I want you guys all to know, yesterday night, Dan Wickes and I went to a New York Yankees baseball game. It was very nice. And at the game, Dan made a fashion choice that I can only describe as kind of revolutionary. Wait, this is Dan tying his sweater around his waist. Like a teenage girl who got her period. Why is this giving like 40-year-old mom at Walmart who thinks these colors don't run? And that is it for me, guys. Are you ready for your first roaster? All right. Scott, that was all we needed the projector for. I think it was worth it. What do you say? I think it was worth it. All right, I want you guys to keep it going right now for the very funny Luke Davis.
Thank you, guys. Guys, how about another hand for the birthday boy, Dan Wickes? Yes. Yes. Dan is 31 years old, and he is still relevant, which is unheard of for a computer. Dan, we all love you. We all respect you, right? We all love Dan. Why else? Yes. Why else would we all come out here, spend our time, spend our money, spend our energy to plan this great birthday party? So, what's up? Okay, so apparently this was all your idea. Okay. Whatever. It's fine. It doesn't matter. He should play. He plans great shows, right? Number one, I would say Dan puts on the number one roast show in what? Comedy Fight Club was good this week. No shit. No way. It's fine. It's fine. He's good. You know, he's got a good head of hair. He's got a great. He's got a girl who loves him. He's dating Gabby. What? She dumped him. Okay. Okay. You got dumped. You might not have the best show. You throw your own birthday party. But that doesn't matter. None of that matters because, Dan, I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart that I love you, okay? I'm using you for stage.
Hey, what's up? Hey, Dan. Happy birthday. I'm so glad I'm the next one. Yeah, it's fun to roast Dan because it's the only time you can be near him and have personal space. This is the appropriate amount always, Dan. He's always so fucking close, dude. He's a great listener because his ear is always in my fucking mouth, dude. Dan loves to write roasts and gossip. Those are the two Dan things. Legend has it, Dan shakes every time a comedy couple breaks up. That's what we're here for, man. But yeah, dude, there's a lot of crazy things in here, but I love Dan. Dan's been quoted to say his dream in life is to fuck Rihanna and have it not be crazy. And I fuck with that, dude. I believe in you. I think that could happen. She'll have brain damage one day. All righty, thank you guys.
All right, we're going to keep things going. On deck is John and Ajodah. In the hole is Alex Pischera. But come to stage right now. Give it up for Sunny Laprade.
Hello. Dan, I'm reading off my phone. Fuck you. Yeah, thank you. This isn't Netflix. It's the world's most prestigious goon cave. What a night, though. This is a real who's who of people that Netflix has never heard of, and John Ajodah for some fucking reason. Yeah. Get higher standards, buddy. You don't need this. Everyone give it up for the birthday boy. Yeah. Yeah. The only man with pants as tight as his butthole. Dan, you should be honored that I took the time to write so many jokes about you drunk on the train ride over here. That just really goes to show how much I love that you book me. Dan Wickes, more like Dan Ticks, am I right? Yeah, you all may recognize Dan from cornering your favorite female comic at a party. Gabby fell on the floor as if she has personal experience. Yeah, Dan shares a lot with Eric Adams, because we all fucking hate him. But, you know, it's so honorable that Dan puts so much work into making sure that none of us are ever marketable. I'm just kidding. Roast Battle is actually like a really important community space. You know, Grove 34 is actually the only thing keeping Dave Sheehan from shooting up the Comedy Cellar. I'm just kidding. The cellar would never let you in. Dan really puts the incel in involuntarily celibate. I'm just kidding. He clearly fucks. I mean, look at all those rings. Yeah, that's one for each underage girl. For those of you who are looking to sleep with Dan, there are two ways to make that happen. Either one, be a man. Two, host his show. Yeah, Dan Wickes, more like Chugs Dicks. People say that Dan dresses gay, but he actually dresses like he's preying on bisexual women. It's a very fine line. Dan, I'd tell you to kill yourself, but the trans suicide rate is already so high. And listen, I know that you aren't out yet, but like 6 months after I dyed my hair pink, I started estrogen. Which actually brings me to the fact I do have a birthday present for you. Yeah. Dan Wickes, more like trans chick. Dan is the most likable man in the roast scene, but that's really not a high bar. You're competing with Jeff Ross and James Pontillo, who are currently fighting each other for the titles of most allegations in comedy, which is in fact a very high bar. It's the closest that either of them will get to Louis C.K. without having a dick in their face. I would say something about Matt Moran, but I don't think he knows what's happening. The only time Dan shakes more than when he's judging a roast battle is when Pontillo slips the tip in. Yeah, I'd say that I hope you die, but I don't want James Pontillo to ever be happy. Dan loves drama. He's a messy bitch, or at least that's what I've heard from James. Learn how to douchebag. Dan only books these shows because it's the only way that he can get women and people of color to hang out with him. Dan, you ugly, twitchy bastard. Happy birthday, and thank you for having me. Without you, I'd never have an opportunity to hear the tri-state area's least bookable nobodies talk about my dick for cheap laughs. Yeah, I'll cherish these memories until I inevitably get murdered or kill myself in my mid-30s. Good night.
Time for Sunny. She killed that. Holy shit. All right. On deck is Alex Pischera. In the hole is Sarah Barnitt. Coming to stage right now, it's John Ajodah.
Wow, guys, all the stars are here. Give it up for Dan. He did stand up. We sat through that. I hope you know how much you're loved for us all to entertain that idea. But I like how you have two beverages like you're about to do something. But Dan is like the James Bond of autism. Shaken, not stirred. I don't think Dan has Tourette's. I just think he gets really excited about telling you gossip about someone you don't give a shit about. That's but you're 31 this year. Yeah, I can't believe 31 years ago you were conceived presumably on a tilt-a-whirl. Born during an earthquake. God bless you. But Dan and I actually have a lot in common. We're actually both half Italian. We're both aging ungracefully. And we both want to fuck his sister. But listen, I'll make this brief because I don't need to milk this for stage time. Sonny, by the way, I have 1,100 Instagram followers. You better show me some fucking respect. All right, sorry. I know you guys don't get starstruck, everybody. I'll do autographs outside. But listen, Dan, we love you, buddy, and God bless.
All right, we're going to keep things going. On deck is Sarah Barnitt. In the hole is Sasha Von D. But keep it going right now for Alex Pischera.
Happy birthday, Dan. I've never roasted before. Here goes nothing. The most surprising thing about Dan Wickes is that he's not autistic. The least surprising thing about Dan is that he just got dumped. What's that? I just heard word Gabby is going to be on the next season of Wild 'N Out. Sorry. Well, it's not going to get better than that. This is the most I've written all year, Dan. I don't write jokes. I just get by on not really that good charisma. People who don't know Dan think he's a nice guy because, he's all fucked up. But Dan is not a nice guy. He's the gossip queen of comedy. He knows you're going to cheat on your girlfriend before you do. And he's literally talked shit about every one of you in here. But somehow we still love him. Happy birthday, Dan. Fucking love you, dude.
All right. Great job, Alex. First time roasting. You killed that. That was awesome. All right. On deck is Sasha Von D. In the hole is Karthik Raj. But coming to stage right now, keep it going for Sarah Barnitt.
All right, Gabby, so you will have sex with Dan, but you haven't even tried to have sex with me. That's interesting. You're wrong for that. I'm just saying. I get it. He's a human vibrator, so I understand. What can I say? Dan recently adopted purple hair and wearing jewelry. You guys remember when men used to go to war and die? Dan, your hair turned me into a Trump supporter. I met Dan about a year and a half ago, and that's also when I changed the locks in my apartment. Hey, when we said rodent men were hot this summer, we didn't mean you. But I've had some really great times with Dan. Actually, the first and only time I've been to a strip club was in Vegas with Dan. I don't have a punchline for that. I just want you all to visualize it because I had to experience it. I really admire Dan for how he shows up so authentically himself. Like, he doesn't care about the little things, like getting pussy or other people's respect. He just thinks he looks really cool. I think Dan is he's an amazing comic. He's a great friend. I'm really, really proud of what he's built here at Grove 34. Can we clap it up for Roasted at Grove 34? Yeah. Because I remember, like, in the beginning, the lineups, it was like the comics and 2 crackheads, right? And now it's the comics, 3 crackheads, and a bunch of people who are immediately traumatized. You did it, buddy. You really did it. That's great. They're never going to watch comedy again. This is your fault. All right, well, happy birthday. We all fucking love Dan, right? Yeah. I'll give you a hug if you
Yeah, keep it going for Sarah. All right. On deck is Karthik Raj. In the hole is Lukas Arnold. But coming up right now, it's Sasha Von D.
Over Dan, everybody! Let's give it up one more time for Dan. Give it up one time for Gabby, everybody. Here's the thing: is I did this roast last year, and Dan texted me privately and told me that I had the best set of the night. So I really have nothing to prove right now. I didn't write any jokes, but I am going to speak from the heart. I do resent having to be here because I like Dan so much. I like him a lot, and I think we all really love Dan because the thing about you is that Dan, he can't help being anything other than Dan. He's got this real like tender, fragile affection and sweetness that shines through. This like real no, don't Daniel. This real just he's a lovely sweet person, and it comes through. Despite everything else about him, I mean, the face and the voice, the laugh, the fucking laugh, dude. I mean, did you hear that just then? Revolting, dude. I mean, he looks like an anti-Semitic cartoon. It's really upsetting. He looks like every self-portrait R. Crumb ever did. Who knows? You got any R. Crumb heads in the house? Yes, dude. Yes, the voice, just the whole vibe, the gossip, like fucking Dean was saying, the excitement when people break up. It's so, like if you wrote down on paper everything that Dan is, it should add up to just a perverse, awful creep. And somehow he's still great. I don't get it. He defies logic in the same way that all of his attempts to make himself cool have failed. I mean, every month he started with the shoes, the dripped up shoes, dude. Do you guys remember that? He used to dress like his mom dressed him, and then he started wearing shoes. We were like, "Hey, Dan, what are you doing? What are you doing there with those shoes, Dan?" And then he changed up the shirt, and then the beard, and the fucking rings. He did the rings. And if you wrote down all the stuff that he is now, it should add up to a cool guy. And you still just got fucking Dan at the end of the day. Just lovely, awful Dan, dude. The Greeks said that when somebody first meets you, they in the first 5 minutes of meeting you, they see what you search for your whole life. They see that all your insecurity, you need to forgive your mom, and it wasn't your fault, all that stuff. And that's really awful news for everybody but Dan. You got nothing to hide. You're lovely, and I love you. Bye.
So now that anti-Semitism has come up, I'm going to read a joke from a comic named John Alcabies, who's not here, but he wanted me to read this. And if you hate it, I didn't fucking write it, okay? Dan isn't Jewish, which is a surprise considering he has a big nose, he's socially awkward, and his father narrowly survived 9/11. Okay, I did write it. No, I'm kidding. All right, on deck is Lukas Arnold. In the hole is Meno Fernandez. We keep it going for Karthik Raj.
Yeah, happy birthday, Dan. My birthday is the day before Dan's. You don't see me making a big fucking deal about it. Yeah, I love how like a roast is just Dan's idea of what a party is. It's like everyone's insulting me. Sounds perfect. It sounds like every party I've ever been to. Dan's favorite rapper's name is Lil Ugly Mane, which is a little bit on the nose. Hey, Dan, my favorite rapper is Brown Guy That Acts Black. All right, but yeah, seriously, Dan's one of my best friends in comedy. Happy birthday, buddy, and stay sitting. All right.
All right. On deck is, let me see. On deck is Meno Fernandez. In the holes, Yoshiko Watson. Coming up now is Lukas Arnold.
Before I begin, I'd like to share one of my first examples of knowing Dan, which is when we shared an Uber together, and he talked about the 40-year-old virgin. And he said that the opening scene kind of inspired him because, it starts off with, Steve Carell, pay attention. Steve Carell, he's playing the tuba, he's playing video games on a special chair, he's reading comic books and laughing a lot. And Dan said that he loved that because he thought that it was such a peaceful existence. All right, what else? Dan, you look like you got queer-eyed by people that hate you. Dan is Italian, which explains why his first crush was the crusty white dog in his grandmother's house. Dan looks like he eats pussy for his microbiome. Twitch streamer, that's the Wikipedia definition of Dan pissing. All right. As Dan mentioned, he's been fucking. And the only thing more disgusting than the image of him inside a woman is the knowledge that those rings worked. Because, let's get real, all right? Let's get fucking real. We're all here because we know and love Dan. He's a good comedian, good friend. He runs fun shows like this. We love him so much. All of the above. We don't fuck him, though. Dear God, no. And then one of us did. What? I was there on the front lines, witnessing Dan do the stylistic rebrand you see right now. We saw him grow out his beard. We were like, hey, that's a cool development. We saw him start wearing a bunch of fuck-ass heavy metal rings, and we were like, okay, 1 step forward, 1,000 steps back. And then we saw him dye his hair, and we were like, oh, he hates pussy. That's what's going on. I thought he was about to get a fedora where this train was headed. I'm sorry. I should know better than to mention trains around Dan. We know he gets excited. Look, all I'm saying is that this is why comedy needs to be burned to the fucking ground, all right? Because on one end of the spectrum of comedians are people like Chris D'Elia. Monsters who assault women and girls, obvious trash. But then on the other end of the spectrum are comedians like Dan, who fucks completely consensually, but reveals that there are people who fuck guys with rings. So what I'm trying to say is, Dan, what I'm trying to say is you are the Crystalia of consensual sex. Happy birthday, Dan Wickes. Give it up for yourselves.
I think the rings are nice. They make him so happy. Okay. Okay, on deck we have Yoshiko Watson. On the hole is Crespo. But coming up now, it's Meno Fernandez.
Hey, yeah, I've known Dan for a long time. The last guy said he grew a beard. I'd never noticed. I can't stop looking at your nose, dude. That's huge. But nice beard. He runs a show out of a place called House Party, which is interesting because he's never been invited to a house party. That's fucking, that's cool. And I was gonna tell a story, but it's a good story. I'm gonna tell it. We went on the road like years ago. I drove him up to Philly with his ex, Maddie Smith, and he really loved her. And anyways, they suck because like I rode him up there, but they fucking both went in the back seat like I'm an Uber driver. Yeah, you did that. You did that, you fucking asshole. You know what I mean? Like, what a dick move. Like, that's bullshit. But here's the creepiest thing about it. On the ride back, they were both in the back seat, and they both passed out, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and Dan's eyes were awake. I was like, holy shit. That's fucking creepy. I've heard sleep with one eye open, but both? That's, I don't know, man. But I've known you for a lot of years, man. Like, I definitely think you could be like a TikTok star if it was called Tick Tick. Yeah, I think I'd be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I've seen you grow in confidence. Look at you. You're finally wearing those rings from the 25-cent machine. I love that. You got all the accessories. Like, you got the fucking hair. You're the person you always wanted to be when you were 13. And I love that. A school shooter. And, all right, let's see what else I got here. Nope, that's not good. Oh yeah, Dan says he was never like he has Tourette's, but he was never bullied in high school. He just thought everyone else had Tourette's. Pussy. he's like, yeah, let it out, man. Let it out. Just let it out, bro. Let's see if there's anything else. I don't know. He did a joke about SpongeBob, like if he wasn't gay, having so much holes. What's scary is that he knows exactly how many holes he has. All right, Dan, I love you, buddy.
On deck, we got Crespo. In the hole is Irina and Josh. But keep it going right now for Yoshiko Watson.
Dan's hair reminds me of that saying. How's it go? 1 in the pink, 5 in the chromosome. Dan is terrible at dating. One time his ex was like, our relationship is a train wreck. And Dan was like, don't bring an innocent train into this. All right. That's it. Happy birthday, Dan.
All right, on deck, Irina and Josh. In the hole is Nick Balsirow. But coming up right now, Crespo.
Give me 1 sec. Yeah, we'll do this. All right, hold on. No, I got it. Here. Okay, now I can yell at you. I love how Dan wears rings now, like he's trying to show off in front of me. I don't even have 1. He's got 4. Honestly, I used to have arms, but then somebody thought it was a great idea to give Dan a chainsaw. Oh my God. Dan's obsessed with trains, we all know that. But what you don't know, it's about gay men that are banging him all day long. Yeah. You look like a person that I tried to sculpt out of clay through memory, you know? I was like, head goes here. But you're a great friend, buddy, and thanks for bringing me back, and thanks for the rings.
Welcome back, Chris Crespo. And what a welcome. That guy rocks. Okay, on deck is Nick Balsirow, in the hole is Christine O'Day, but keep it going for Irina, Chelidze, and Josh Lampley.
Thank you guys so much. You're just going to stand there the whole time. We'll make this quick. I know you got to get back to bath time with Mother. Josh and I are roasting together because I feel more comfortable in Dan's presence if my boyfriend's beside me. Yeah.
First off, I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here tonight honoring a comic who works so hard, who's a master of his craft, who runs the best roast show in the city, and is frankly a role model to younger and experienced comics alike. Wait, hold on, sorry. This is our speech from James Pontillo's birthday last night. That's our bad. Wrong party. That's on us.
Speaking of people who aren't here, Kevin Mulheron sent in a joke. We know this guy? We know this guy? All right. It goes like this. Last year, when Dan and I went to Coney Island together, he said, "I don't need a girl, man. I'm just going to ride roller coasters for the rest of my life." And I said, "Damn right, Dan, you don't need a woman. You can just make your own enjoyment just by being in the presence of hundreds of little children."
We'll tell Kevin his tag needs to be better. Okay, now it's time for our well-crafted jokes about Dan. Dan Wickes, more like Juan Dix, because this guy's gay.
I'll tell you, your jokes suck too. All right, Dan is single. Woo, woo, woo. And as Sarah said, Twitter says Rap Boy Summer is in. Okay, and if we have a Tourette's fall and a micropenis winter, we're in for a great year.
Holding out hope. Dan Wickes is a lot like John Wick, but instead of avenging his dog, he'd get it to lick peanut butter off his pussy. I mostly wrote name jokes, guys. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of training bug Pokemon to be here. Dan's such a nerd. Every year for his birthday, he makes his friends do a homework assignment.
Dan. What's that short for? Danimals, you fucking idiot. Danimals is actually the perfect snack for Dan because you're supposed to shake it before you drink it.
All right, we're almost done. I just want to say really quick, we love Dan, etc. And like, you're a great guy. He's always there if you need someone to text because he has nothing else going on. Oh. And I just want to end by saying, Dan, you look like a lesbian, but not enough that Gabby would want to fuck you. I'm sorry. All right, we're done. Bring it back up here. Come on.
Keep it going for Irina and Josh, everyone. Josh, the way you said bussy is going to haunt my nightmares for a long time. All right, on deck is Christine O'Day. In the hole is Daniel J Perafan. But keep it going right now for Nick Balsirow.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? I'm a very old friend of Dan's. I came all the way from Philadelphia to help dispel those Asian hate rumors that were going around. Really, all the way here for that. Dan's newest Tourette's tick is a karate chop, which may be inconsequential to you, but to me, that's practically the N-word. Stop Asian hate, Dan. I am a really good friend with Dan. We have pet names for each other. He calls me Virginia Tech. I call him Columbine. He actually confides in me a lot. We talk pretty often. He once told me that he feels he's the only person who is universally loved by everyone, but somehow it's still not enough, which got me thinking Universal, the parent company of Viacom, which owns MTV, that has programming like Wildin' Out, starring Maddie Smith. So not so universal after all, huh, Dan? Actually, I also have been friends with him long enough to have a photo of the only time he was ever happy back in 2017 with Maddie Smith. So I put that on my Instagram story since I was coming here, and then she replied to it and said, LOL, followed me back and said, hey, do you want to open for me in Philadelphia? So Dan, being friends with you finally helped my career. Thank you, everybody.
All right, on deck is Daniel J. Perafan in the hole in Scott Hall, but keep it going for Casino Day!
Hello. So we're here roasting Dan for his birthday, which is news to me. I didn't know haunted marionettes had birthdays. I assumed Dan was not born but emerged from whatever lab the vaccine was made in. Now, it's great that they gave you time off tonight of your job of shaking paint cans at the Home Depot. Sorry, I'm a little sloshed. When Dan texted me if I wanted to do this roast, I responded like any woman who's ever had sex with him, yes, but I need to get drunk first. Sorry, yeah, he's shaking a little bit. Dan has physical Tourette's, but mental retardation. No, Dan is actually a software engineer. It's so nice to see another woman in STEM. He's got the pink hair. He hasn't seen pussy in so long, he's trying to look like one. How you wear your hair is a message to people about what you want to say about yourself, and Dan is, it's a girl! But no, Dan is very bird-like. He's pink like a flamingo, bobs his head like a parrot, and like a stork, he touches a lot of kids. No, he doesn't have any accusation. Dan's never been accused of rape because his victims don't want to admit that they've been raped by a man in dinosaur-printed underwear. But Dan, you're an A in my book. A for autism, asshole, and awe. He thinks he's people. All right, that's been my time. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, on deck is Scott Hall. In the hole is Britney Ledesma, but keep it going right now for Daniel J. Perafan.
That's fucked up. Everyone's making fun of Dan for his Tourette's. That's fucked up. That's really hack, man. His nose is huge. Look at that thing. Dan, if you're here, who's guarding that bridge? Okay, Dan, you son of Toucan Sam. Fuck. Oh, I'm bombing. Oh, no. You look like you comment I love you on every Pornhub video. Dan doesn't have a lot of money, but that hasn't stopped him from saying the N-word. I'm so happy you were able to find someone else covering your shift of making dogs uncomfortable. All right, I'm done. Bye.
On deck is Brittany. In the hole is Gilberto Soto, but coming up right now, it's Scott Hall.
I look forward to going through the footage with you and watching the people who bombed. or whatever that first guy's name was. It's a roast! Oh my God. Dan, you shaky retard. How are you not a Kill Tony regular already? Just go up there, say whatever you have is killing you, and try not to tell any of your regular jokes. You'll be very famous, you gossipy fag. You. If you're here, who's counting the audience member at a James Pontillo show? You know, he only sold 3 tickets. I sold 10 tickets. Can you clip that? Can you? Jan likes rings, gold, silver, pedophile. Dan's seen my penis before. It was on FaceTime. I mean, it was on his face most of the time. I don't. Dan spends most of his time arranging battles between his friends, and he also runs a roast show. It's not. Dan has sex with lesbians, which only makes sense for the lesbian. They see Dan, they go, that's man enough for me, I think. All right, Dan, I love you. You know how much I love you. Thank you.
He's right. On deck is Gilberto Soto. Then in the hole is Brian Rabadeau. But keep it going for Britney Ledesma.
Thank you. I don't really know what I'm doing up here. I'm the stripper he hired. I wore something low cut because I knew he wasn't going to see any tit tonight. Dan and I have actually never made eye contact. I mean, this is the closest I've ever been to him before. I'm glad you made sure you had something going on instead of listening to Evanescence alone tonight. You're the most punk rat I've ever met. Dan gets pussy as long as there's cheese on it. Dan looks like he's auditioning to date the head of a coven in Bushwick. Okay, well, that fell flat. I'm stoned. Happy birthday.
When in doubt, you can always say happy birthday. On deck is Priya Blunt, or sorry, on deck is Brian Rabadeau, and the hole is Priya Blunts. But keep it going for Gilberto Soto.
I'm learning so much today. I had no idea who you were dating and broke up with. Like, no idea. I can't believe you lost your wreck to the cellar. That sucks. But honestly, happy Pride to your hair. You know, I can only imagine you stuttered when you asked your barber for that hairstyle that you had. Like, thank you for dyeing your hair where now you feel forced to ask for your pronouns. You know, like, I don't want to assume your sexuality. I just assume you're not having sex. You really put the insult in celebration. You know? I can only imagine that when you do have sex, women just pray that you have a tick so they can come. But thank you for being the type of white that I feel safe around. Happy birthday.
All right, on deck is Priya. In the hole is Eric Asker. But keep it going right now for Brian Rabadeau.
All right. How does Dan look like a school shooter and the token gay kid who got shot? Dan has a stylish look right now. It's called a chic tick. That's a good joke. Fuck you. This is true. Dan had a woman who was stalking him that was schizophrenic, which is the only time Dan had multiple women into him. Okay, thank you. Bye.
On deck is Eric Asker. In the hole is Alexis Ramirez. But coming to stage right now is Priya Blunts.
Guys, I'm so happy to be here roasting everybody's favorite troll doll. Honestly, actually, I kind of want to circle back. Did something happen between you and Gabby? Guys, if comedy was high school, then Dan would immediately be sent to the guidance counselor's office. Yeah, this new look, bro, I'm really trying to figure out what this look is. It's like he's trying to look like somebody who's been in and out of rehab for the last few years. Because honestly, being a recovering heroin addict is a really good cover for the shakes. Dan, what can I say about you that hasn't already been said in a passive-aggressive Instagram story by James Pontillo? Dan runs a show called Roasted. It should be called Dante's Inferno because you make us sit through 9 rounds of hell. Dan is actually wearing all 9 rings of hell on his hand right now. Dan has an ex-girlfriend. That's the whole joke. All right, thank you guys. Happy birthday, Dan. All right. Only 99 comics left. All right. On deck is Alexis Ramirez. In the hole is Talon Harris. But welcome to the stage, Eric Asker.
Multiple people tonight have said, like, Dan is really authentic. And, like, he doesn't hide anything. If he could hide what he is, he would absolutely be hiding. That's what the rings are. He's trying to hide it. That's what the shirts are. He's trying to distract your eyes with shiny objects. But it's great being here, roasting the most powerful man in comedy. Doesn't Dan seem like he would abuse his power to make an innocent young comic watch The Last Airbender with him? What else did I write? No, all right, Dan doesn't look like evil. You know, like he looks like Dan looks like the Riddler, but like he doesn't have any plans. He just likes riddles, you know? Dan looks like he gets scared when the vacuum cleaner's on. So anything? No, Dan shakes. We've all seen it. That's why he's always spilling drinks and the secret you told him. No, Dan, I'm glad you had this party. I love this. I know, like, usually you would prefer to go to the pet store and ask to pet the lizard, but doesn't Dan look like when he's alone he tries to move a pencil with his mind? I know we're being mean, but after this, we all have to be really nice to Dan, okay? Like, Dan's very depressed that Gabby doesn't want to have sex with him. So whatever you do, do not tell him about every other woman. All right, I love you, buddy.
That's what I said. Okay, on deck is Talon Harris. In the hole is Dave Sheehan. But keep it going right now for Alexis Ramirez.
Oh my God, Dan, I just fucked Gabby. But I will. Okay. Dan and I went on one date. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true. Nothing happened. No one's fault but Dan's. But this isn't a bad thing, because it definitely proves that Dan is such a nice guy. That's all I got for you, buddy.
All right, on deck is Dave Sheehan. In the hole is Alejandra Jimenez. But keep it going for Talon Harris.
I was high in the corner, and I'm thinking like, yo, you know what's fucked up about this? Dan gave us all a homework assignment for his birthday. That's some freaky shit, bro. One of my first memories of Dan was when he did his joke about how he doesn't have autism. He has Tourette's, and I'm just like, bro, I don't accept that. I don't know. Did you cheat on the autism test or something? Like, I feel like that the bounce he does when that's one of the symptoms, right? It's like the main symptoms that come up. What else I want to say? I feel like Dan, like when he's experiencing joy, he reminds me of light up sneakers. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to anybody? Always feel like Dan just want to sprint real like down the block. That's the energy Dan got. Dan is definitely he's changed since I've met him. He's been becoming a sex symbol, if everyone hasn't noticed. You know, it started with the rings, then it was the hair. And the other day I was walking down the street, I seen this nigga has a motorcycle. Did y'all know? No, that's not a joke. He has a motorcycle. I was gonna bring my girl tonight, but I was afraid that she was gonna try to have sex with Dan. So I was like, stay home, babe. Happy birthday, Dan.
On deck is Alejandra, in the hole is Devin Bramble, but keep it going for Dave Sheehan.
It's funny, if you gathered a bunch of strangers together and showed them a picture of Gabby and a picture of Dan and said, which one's the lesbian, nobody would pick Gabby. And regarding that comedy cellar line from earlier, Sonny, there is not a cellar in this world that I do not belong in. All right, so happy birthday to Tina from Bob's Burgers, having a nightmare about her future self. I'm just glad he made it here tonight because he spent all of the day in Astoria Park chasing a runaway balloon. We weren't sure what was going to happen. How awesome is that Tiger Beat picture of him in the window out there trying to draw people in? He looks so dreamy. He looks like the edible just kicked in, but so did the burrito. I know this was billed as Dan's birthday roast, but it's officially a weekly meeting of the anonymous support group called Comedians That James Pontillo Owes Money To. This also includes audience members. This room is not going to be big enough for the next meeting. Has anyone ever called you gay Lord of the Rings? That just seems like it's ripe for the taking. I'm like 97th. How has nobody said that yet? Also, he isn't dyeing his hair. The rings are too tight. They're cutting off circulation, and it's doing things. What color even is that? Strawberry milk fused with Robitussin? Who asked for that? Dan's the only guy who turns 31 and celebrates it by making himself look like a Baskin-Robbins ice cream cone. Has anyone ever asked the burning question, who came in second in the Coney Island Comedy Festival? Who's using that credit? Dan is the only guy I know who has to wear floaties when he goes muff diving. Thank you, Dan, for all you do. And just be glad you're born not in the 1950s. Otherwise, your family would hide you in the cellar with me.
There's been some references to James Pontillo tonight, and he's not here. What a bummer. Who will boomerang me? What happens if I want to feel viscerally uncomfortable, huh? All right. Okay, on deck is Devin Bramble. In the hole is Tom Crescenzo. But coming to stage right now, it's Alejandra Jimenez.
Thank you. Dan, I wrote all of this morning because I started my morning like I do every morning, thinking about how much I fucking hate you. Pretty recently, I made the fatal flaw of telling Dan something personal about me. I told him my therapist thinks I might have borderline personality disorder. Dan said, you should get a new therapist. You definitely have borderline personality disorder. So, I wanted to stoop to your level and be a fucking piece of shit. In my head, I was like, that fucking retard said I had BPD. Fuck him. But I'm not going to stoop to your level, okay? Because whether you like it or not, we have a lot in common, actually. We're very, very similar. We both love jewelry. We both dyed our hair, not because we're crazy. because we just have a lot of self-expression. We've both talked shit about every person in this room together. You're the only one I haven't, and now it's gonna watch the Instagram story tomorrow. We're both celibate. It doesn't matter that for one of us it's involuntary. It's fine. We're both definitely not gay, despite what everybody says about us. Literally everybody. We're both single. We're both maybe looking for something that's been right in front of us the whole time. Come on, Dan. Let's get back at them. You and me. I mean, honestly, for real, I can be, look, next to you, I seem very straight. Next to me, you seem really, really sane. Let's do it. Let's get together. I will do the same that Gabby did. I won't fuck you at all, and I'll just parade you around like my little retard. Okay, goodbye.
Malia's mad, but I'm glad she's in the hole, and we got Tom Crescenzo on deck. But keep it going right now for Devin Bramble.
Guys, give it up for my fellow Long Island comic, Dan Wickes, everybody. Hates to admit it, my fellow Long Island comic, Dan Wickes. You can tell because he won't even look at my black ass, and I've got a pocket watch. What's crazy is he shakes around you guys, but around black people, he's perfectly still. It's like a prey response. I didn't know there was something between Dan and Gabby. Is that why you were throwing rocks at Lukas Arnold's house? Telling him to come out the burrow and face the lion? That was crazy, dog. Dan is a champion, you guys. Just look at his rings. One for every sexual assault conviction he's beat. That's crazy. Kobe, Dan throws a lot of great shows, and I love to be on them, but I always get afraid when he messaged me the day before. I think he's going to go, Devin, you've always been cool. Don't come to House Party Cafe tomorrow. Dan's performed all over the country, and when he leaves your town, you know, two things. You're going to have satisfied customers and a dumpster filled with the mutilated bodies of local homeless women. Dan and I are both feet guys. You can catch us at the Women's Foot Locker, posted up. We got the outfits and everything. Would even work there. His name tag says Toe Jam and mine says Soul Brother. It's chill, you guys. We kick it. Dan's got the demeanor of a theater kid on stage, but in real life, he's got the demeanor of the theater teacher who sniffs their leggings after. Let's see. Dan he was a non-violent school shooter. He would just fire loads at the back of the bathroom stall. Dude, the school was in a panic. There was an autistic kid running around with cum in his hands. They just had a poster that said, Spurg spills semen. It was insane. I've been Devin Bramble, you guys. This is my fucking boy. Love you, duder.
Wait, one more time for Devin. He crushed that shit. Yeah. Now we can go back to sweating in the cold. Okay. All right, on deck is Malia Simon. In the hole is Ryan Peterson. But coming to stage right now, it's Tom Crescenzo.
Thanks, everybody. How about another hand for Dan? Comedy's favorite Spencer's Gifts employee. Oh, Dan, you fucking freak. You look like a neurodivergent sea lamprey. Oh, my God. Fucking Dan is one of the best friends I've ever had that I cannot look directly in the eye. Seriously, making eye contact with Dan feels like you're having a staring contest with Sid from Ice Age. Dan, you're living proof that if you just work as hard as you possibly can, you could be a mediocre comedian even if you don't have binocular vision. But Dan is actually a really good comic. I recently saw Dan do an hour of crying after he told me about how Gabby broke up with him. But Dan, you are making a lot of weird style decisions. He has all these rings, and at first I thought you were wearing those because you thought it looked cool. Now I realized those rings are the only thing you could finger without tying it up first. Oh my God, but really, Dan, I love you. You're a good friend of mine. And I remember you took me to see Run the Jewels once. And Dan is actually a very big hip-hop fan, which is interesting because he looks like an alien from a planet where they killed all the black people. I love you, Dan. Happy birthday. Thanks, guys.
We're coming towards the end of our show. Can I get an attendance check? Is David Vallone here? No? Fuck that guy. Just kidding. I love him. Is Clyde here? Okay. All right, so on deck is Ryan Pearson, in the hole is Divya Gunasekaran, but keep it going right up for Malia Simon!
Thank you. Dan always looks like he just got a door slammed in his face. Happy birthday, Dan.
Perfect. Okay. On deck is Divya. In the hole is Nick Tillelli here? Davenport? Brian Bueche. And then keeping it right up for Ryan Peterson.
Yeah, when I learned I had to roast Dan Wickes, I thought, man, this is going to be hard. He's such a regular guy. There's nothing weird or strange going on with Dan Wickes at all. You know, I honestly, though, I do think it's in poor taste that we're here celebrating the guy who shot up The Dark Knight Rises. Okay, that's... No, I'm just kidding. Dan is not an aggressive guy at all until he corners you into a conversation about alternative hip-hop. Okay? I'm not listening to Open Mike Eagle, Dan. Get the fuck away from me. And by the way, all right, Tourette's is not a good excuse to say the N-word along with Kendrick Lamar, okay? I don't know. Is it okay we're roasting a retarded guy? But Dan and I are Bushwick guys, you know, and nothing says Bushwick like dyeing your hair the color of the fucking tiny cupboard. Okay? All right. I love you, Dan. Happy birthday, brother.
We got a few more comics left. On deck is Brian Bueche. In the hole is Dan Yang. But coming up now, it's Divya Gunasekaran.
Oh my gosh. Dan. All right, I'm going to keep this quick. What can I say about Dan that I don't want to use next week? It's basically this. Dan, you have a certain boyish charm about you. I can't tell if it's because you haven't outgrown your middle school attire. Or just haven't overcome your shaken baby syndrome. That's Dan dyed his hair pink. Have we talked about this, you guys? I assume it's to attract more lesbians in Brooklyn. Dan, you look like Harley Quinn if the Suicide Squad weren't allowed to have belts or shoelaces. Dan's a really big gamer. His favorite console is the Switch, which is definitely what he was hoping his lesbian ex-girlfriend would do. No, Dan's amazing at roasting. He's a killer. People call him John Wick because there's definitely like a dead dog somewhere in his house. All right, Dan, I love you. You're amazing.
We got 5 more comics. On deck is Dan Yang. In the hole is Rehad Carroll. But give it up for Brian Bueche.
Oh my God, this is fun. This has been a fun show, guys. I don't know if you guys saw, Dan had a nice headshot out there, outside. It's a really nice, looks like it was shot a couple weeks ago. He's looking off to the side. Even in headshot form, he's avoiding eye contact. That's fun. I love that. Okay, so I haven't gotten a solid answer on this. Gabby, did you fuck Dan? Ah! I really hope that's like fucking an immersion blender. Like, don't. Like, don't. That's not the kind of wet you're supposed to be, okay? God, I can't imagine fucking Dan. I feel like Dan comes like he laughs. Oh, look, a train. Okay. I'm done. Thank you very much, guys. Happy birthday, Dan.
All right, everyone. On deck is Rehad, followed by Rachel McCartney. But give it up now for Dan Yang.
Dan didn't even ask me to be on this year. I just came just to hang out. I'm like, I'm not going to just hang out and not try to get something out of this. Clearly, Dan found a new Asian, and there's only... What happened to me, bro? So, I wrote these last 3 minutes. That's probably how I felt when, Dan has Tourette's, and then a new, better Tourette's comic, Benny Feldman, moved to New York and is stealing all your Tourette's valor. But he says cool shit like, hut, hut. No? That might have been more of a Benny roast. How about this? Dan only believes in same-race relationships. He doesn't believe in race mixing. That's why he only dates sex robots. We got to move him out of the spotlight. His motherboard will overheat soon. Let's see. You look like you went to the beach that makes you gay. And the pink hair. You look like Dan looks like if you came on a troll doll and left it in the sun for too long. Oh, remember the beach one? I'm Dan, but.
Okay, on deck is Rachel McCartney, followed by Stephen Bowles closing us out. But keep it going right now for Riyadh Carroll!
Oh, dude, Dan, hey. I just want to say that Ryan mentioned that him saying the N-word is because of his Tourette's. He says it's because he's from Long Island. All right, that's it. Bye.
Two more comics left. Stephen Bowles is coming up after Rachel McCartney, who's coming up right now. Keep it going for Rachel!
So I'm not in the roast scene, so for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Dan's best lesbian friend now. Unlike Gabby, I'm never gonna fuck Dan though, because I don't drink. Thank you. I only wrote one more joke because I take you for granted. Let me read it off my phone. All right. Dan recently dyed his hair and started wearing a bunch of rings because that's the only way a robot like him can look non-binary. All right, that's it. Goodbye.
All right, guys, now we got our final comedian of the night. Ending it with some physical comedy. He never should have bumped you, man. All right. Everyone, that's it for the roast of Dan Wickes. But we're going to go out after. We're going to drink beer, right? We're going to go somewhere. Dan, wait. Dan is going to address you all. Keep it going for Dan.
All right, yeah, everyone. Seriously, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for doing this. It really meant a lot to me. And let's go get drunk.
or do you just say hi? Awesome job as always. Awesome job as always. I hope this isn't still on. How you been?